Your cybersecurity solution is here. Introducing Pentester's Advanced Cybersecurity Suite. Ready for peace of mind? Try it for free. No credit card required. Pentester.com.
Hi everyone, it's Anthony Ruggiano, and listen up. You want to throw a party that people talk about for years? Call Casino Pros New York. They bring the real casino experience right to you. Blackjack, poker, roulette, craps, you name it, they got it. Professional dealers, top-notch tables, themes. They'll make your event unforgettable. Perfect for fundraisers, corporate events, or just a night of fun with friends. Visit CasinoProsNewYork.com or call 516-961-3843 to book your event today. Tell them Anthony sent you and they will take care of you. Not like the old days when you told them Anthony sent you, it was trouble. Today is a lot of fun, so check it out. Another landlord, he threw down the stairs and beat up. When we lived on Livonia Avenue, when we lived up, before we moved to Belmont Avenue, we lived on the, because, you know, he was broke back then. He was a maid. When he got made, he was broke. When he got made, he was a doorman at a dice game, and he was making $20 a night in 1953. And he would come home and give my mother the $20 so she could buy me milk and stuff and diapers. He was making $20 a night. Him and Tony Lee were doing stick-ups. They were robbing stores and shit. They were made guys. They were going out at night robbing people with guns to make money because, you know, he was broke. So we lived under the L on Livonia Avenue. That's where my brother was born, in that house. My brother was born there. So it was like, I don't know, I guess it was like 55 or 50. It had to be like 56 because my brother was born in 55. And when you walked up the stairs and you opened up the door, it was the living room, but the back of the couch, you couldn't see who was laying on the couch because you saw the back of the couch from the door. So this stupid bastard landlord, my old man was late with the rent because he had no money. He comes up there one day and the rent's due, and he starts yelling at my old man's sleeping, laying on the couch, napping. He don't know this. And the guy starts yelling at my mother. You tell your husband I want the rent, I'll throw you and your kids in the street and bop, 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 bop. And my old man hears him. My old man jumped up, threw him down the stairs, beat the shit out of him, beat the living shit out, threw. Now I'm there, I'm a little kid. I remember, like, he threw him down. He ran down. I never saw him move so fast. He threw him down the stairs. Then he ran down the stairs. He was smacked. He was a smacker. Because if he would have punched people, he would have killed them. He's smacking this guy like he had big, thick hands. Bang, bang, and he's bitch slapping him like, oh, it was crazy. My mother runs down, she's screaming, leave him alone. This was my childhood. Like, this is my childhood. You want to talk about trauma? And needless to say, we moved out of that house. And when we moved that's when we moved to Belmont Avenue. My Uncle Joey owned the house on Belmont Avenue, and we moved in up on top of him. And then from there, we went to Ozone Park. No, I mean, we had a lot of fights. But no, I mean, I had my share of fights. But we weren't bullies. He wasn't a bully either. One thing we were never bullies. We didn't, I didn't make it a point to take advantage of people. You know what I mean? But we had our share of fights. He taught us, when we lived on 91st Street, now I was 11, 12, my brother was like 10, 9, 10. He brought a heavy bag. And he hung it, and a speed bag, and he hung it in the garage. And he took us out there, and he taught us how to throw punches. So me and my brother, unlike a lot of other kids, when they fought, we knew how to throw punches. So that gave us like a little bit of an edge. And my brother had devastating punching power. He would knock you out with either hand. Me, I had a really good left hook. I was left-handed. So if I hit you with a left hook, I'll drop you with a left hook. Because so kids fight in schoolyards. They don't know how to fight. But me and my brother, we knew how to throw punches. Boom, bang. So we were pretty good. So, so we had our share of fights. There's a lot of current events going on out there. A lot of current events. There's some mob clubs are being robbed again at gunpoint. Word is, they robbed the club in the Bronx, Banana Guy Club. Now, from what I'm hearing, they robbed the club right in my neighborhood in Howard Beach, Blaze Carraz's club. It's been there for years. It's behind the cafe. Yeah, he had that. He had it for years. So from what I hear, they robbed his club. Now I don't know if it's the same crew. I would say probably it is. I don't think it's two separate crews or two separate incidents. I think it's the same crew that's doing it. It makes more sense to me. I spoke to somebody last night that's pretty knowledgeable, that's out there, that knows everybody. Of course, I'm not going to reveal his name. He told me that word is that they think it's Albanians, which makes sense. They're pretty tough. I know a lot of Albanians that are killers. Frankie Loke had a big Albanian crew from the Bronx with him. So I could believe that it's Albanians doing it because, I don't want to be disrespectful and talk bad about the mob, but let's be realistic. They're losing respect. I don't know what they're into anymore. I don't even know what they're about anymore. I don't think they're going to kill anybody over it. If it's true, and I believe it is true, I don't think they're going to go out gunning anybody down like the Hoovers, like they did with that husband and wife team. They gunned them down on Rockaway Boulevard in front of the Nativity on Christmas Eve for robbing clubs. And we all know who did that. The Gambino did that. I know personally who the shooters were on that. Skinny Dom Pizzonia got charged with that murder. I think he didn't get convicted of that murder, but he got charged with it. But I don't think that's going to happen. If they find out who this is, maybe it will. I don't know. But I know it's kind of strange now that this is happening again. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if more clubs get robbed. We'll see what Blaze is going to do about it. I don't think Blaze is going to do shit about it. His brother Nicky, he's a gangster. Blaze ain't no gangster. So and I don't want to. My old man had a special name for Blaze. When Blaze's name came up in conversations, he had a little. I don't think he ever told Blaze it, but he used to call Blaze a whiskey tough guy. So that was his handle, a whiskey tough guy. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't want to get anybody mad at me. I'm just reporting it. It's not any, but we'll see what happens. More will be revealed. Nicky's kid brother. Yeah. Now, I'm sure Nicky's not happy about it. I'm sure Nicky wants to fucking chop them up. I'm sure Nicky's definitely not happy about it. And it's very disrespectful to Nicky because they had to know Blaze is his brother. So, is Nicky capable of killing them? And does Nicky want to kill them? Most definitely. Does Nicky want to kill me? Most definitely. You know what I mean? But are they going to do that? That's another story. That's another story. Are they capable of it? Damn right they're capable of it. But in this day and age, I don't see how, with the cameras and the surveillance and the confidential informants. Listen, I know there's confidential informants all over that city that are standing right next to these guys that are on the payroll of the feds. Because the feds know everything. They know everything. And this goes back 20 years. When I decided to cooperate and I profit, they told me things that I forgot. That made me almost fall out of the chair. They would say to me, "What about that?" And I would go, "How do you know about that?" Like they would refresh my memory. That's how much shit they know. I never testified against any of them. It had to do, I mean, I gave information on them, but they never were charged with anything I talked about, and I never testified against them. Nicky, I never testified, Nicky never went to trial. On all Nicky's cases, he took pleas. If he went to trial, they might have brought me in to testify. I'm sure they would have. But thank God I never had to, because I really wouldn't want to do that. But I mean, I would have if I had to, but I'm glad it never came to that. So he took pleas on everything. I battled with his nephew, Joe, the lawyer. I battled with him on 2 cases. He was the defense lawyer on Dominic's case and on Ciro's case. So I battled with him in court when he cross-examined me. We had a little going on, but I never testified against any of them criminally. No man proposed Nicky to be straightened out. I know him all my life. I was on record with Nicky. When I left New York, Nicky proposed me to be made. He was straightened out when the books opened. My old man proposed him. Gangster, big money maker, tough guy, Right now, from what I'm hearing, he's the underboss of the Gambino family. He's a gangster. And he's never going to stop, no matter how old he is or how much time he did. That these guys ain't going to stop. Him and Jeannie, they are not going to stop. They're not going to stay home with their grandchildren. They're going to be out there positioning themselves, running the show. They ain't going to. It's in their blood. It's in their DNA, and they're not going to stop. Altogether, I'm sure he did. He was on my case. I did 8 years and 3 months. He probably did about 6 years on my case. He has to have a good 15 years in between the 2 cases he went to jail on. He has to have a good 15 years in. He should start a podcast. he ain't gonna do that. Believe me, he's good. He was good friends with Joe and Molina, because my old man hooked all of them up. My old man hooked Joe and Molina up with Nicky and Lenny, with the Gambino family, when Joe and Molina was in Allenwood with Fat Andy. Fat Andy took Joe and Molina under his wing, and Joe and Molina could deny it all he wants. Fat Andy took Joe and Molina under his wing, and I was in the visiting room when he introduced Joey Molina to Lenny DiMaria, who was a captain in the Gambino family. I was on that visit when they got introduced to each other. So, Nicky's a tough guy. I'll tell you a little story. Happened in Schuylkill. The Lucchese family has no love for Nicky. And how this transpired was Vic Amuso comes from Canarsie, and Nicky had a big stronghold in Canarsie. He had a club in Canarsie, and he was recruiting a lot of good kids from Canarsie. This kid, Mike Anati, they straightened him out. A lot of good kids from Canarsie, and they were in competition. The Lucchese's and the Gambinos in Canarsie, and they did not like Nicky whatsoever. I'm in Schuylkill, and there's a big Lucchese guy there named Frankie Bones. From what I'm hearing now, Frankie Bones may be even the acting boss of the Lucchese's or the official underboss of the Lucchese's, from the information I'm getting. When we were in Schuylkill with him, he was a captain. And we're sitting on a bench one summer night, and he hung out with this kid, Greg De Palma, who was with us. Unfortunately, Greg De Palma tried to commit suicide. He hung himself. That's another story for another day. Over here, a profit with him. He was a co-defendant with John Jr. and Mikey Scars on that case out of Atlanta. That's a good story. I'm going to tell that story at another time about Greg De Palma Jr. So we're in Schuylkill. Greg De Palma Jr. is now with us with the Gambinos. He's a wise guy with the Gambinos. I think Mikey Scars might have even been his captain. I'm almost 99% sure that Mikey Scars was his captain. And we're in Schuylkill. He's Frankie Bones' roommate. So him and Frankie Bones are pretty tight. We're in the yard now. We're on a bench. Frankie Bones, Greg De Palma Jr., me, and Sal Ubats. He's with us. Sal, he's still out there. He's my co-defendant. We grew up together, and we're on the bench. And now at that time, we're tight with Nicky. Like, he was our guy. We liked him. We all grew up together. We're on the same case. We're all co-defendants. Me, Sal, Nicky, And we're on the bench at Schuylkill, and Frankie Bones starts bad rapping Nicky. And Greg DePalma's not saying nothing. And he's bad mouthing Nicky. I told Nicky the story. I think you'll get a kick out of this. And he's bad mouthing Nicky. Finally, we can't take it no more. Sal gets up and he goes, listen, you. He goes, you couldn't be a pimple on Nicky's ass. He told Frankie Bones, right? Now, Frankie Bones is a captain, a killer. He's in there for murder. But he was a skinny thing, like Sal would have busted him up. Sal would have hit him. He would have put him in a coma. Sal told him, listen, you couldn't be a pimple on Nicky's ass. Nicky's a gangster. He goes, don't be talking about Nicky like that. And Frankie Bones nutted up. Like, he didn't tell Sal, who the hell are you, like, what he should have, who the hell are you talking to? You can't talk to me like that, But he didn't pull rank or nothing because he knew he was out of line. Unlike Greg DePalma, who didn't say 2 words to him, we sort of put Frankie in check with that. And it was hilarious, and, it was dropped after that. Nothing came about it, but that's a little Nicky story from Schuylkill. Yeah. Palmer's father was a very wealthy, wise guy with the Gambinos. He's in that famous picture of Sinatra, Carlo Gambino. He was very tight with Gambino, with Paul Castellano. He was best friends with Frank Sinatra. There's many, many pictures of him and Frank Sinatra playing golf. He owned that arena in Westchester Music Theater. That when Sinatra opened it up and then they closed it down, the feds closed it down. He was the owner of that. That's a big thing. People could Google that, the Westchester Musical Theater. That was a big thing. Sinatra was even subpoenaed over that. So he was a big major guy with the Gambinos. He was a captain. John became the boss. He was still a captain. He straightened out his son, Greg DePalma Jr. But Greg DePalma Jr. had no business being in the mob. He was not even a criminal. He was just Greg DePalma Sr.'s son. Nice kid, nice guy, but he was no tough guy. What happened was he got indicted in Atlanta with all these guys on that case with John Jr. and Mikey Scars and all of them. He got indicted on that case. He got indicted on another case. He took a plea. He's in Schuylkill with us. They brought him down to Atlanta, and he profited, thinking he was doing the right thing. And it backfired on him. They put the label on him that he cooperated, and he hung himself. He couldn't take it, and he hung himself, and he went into a coma, and a couple of years later, he died. It was a tragedy. It was tragic. What happened to him? Tragic. Casualty, yeah. That's a story about another kid, another son of a mob guy that, listen, all of us are not success stories. Ali Boy's doing life in prison. Greg hung himself. I did what I did. I think, I'm sure even Michael Francis has his bad days over, his relationship with his father, Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you like my content, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. Also, don't forget to check out my Patreon for $1. Come on, check it out. And I hope to see everybody soon.